We all know this. Abortion is illegal in Idaho, like really illegal. With very few exceptions, the gem state is the most restrictive in the country, we're told. Not only is it illegal here, it's illegal to take a minor to another state where it is legal to get an abortion without her parents' permission. This became the law of this land during this last legislative session. It's the first of its kind, this law, in the country. But it's not so cut and dry. There's the issue of abortion pills and whether or not a county prosecutor will even choose to prosecute, in which case Idaho's Attorney General Raul Labrador could take it to court himself. Being this broad and this vague is why this law and this AG is now facing a lawsuit. Joe Paris spoke with one of the women who filed the suit.
Another day, another Idaho law challenged in United States District Court. The topic this time around, abortion trafficking. The law, which went into effect back on May 5th, makes it illegal for an adult to help a minor get an abortion without the permission of the minor's parent or guardian. Specifically, the law prohibits, quote, recruiting, harboring, or transporting the pregnant minor. The law also made it illegal for someone to get abortion pills for a minor. Supporters of the law say it protects Idaho families and children from abortions. Critics have said, since the idea was introduced, that the law is vague and illegal on several fronts.
I work primarily with a young age group, which is 11 to 24.
Lourdes Matsumoto is one of the plaintiffs in the case. Matsumoto is an Idaho attorney who regularly works with victims of domestic and sexual violence, including minors. She says the new law prevents her from helping victims get an abortion legally in another state like Oregon.
The abortion thing has always been a huge issue, and so all the legislation that comes through does affect my clients and the people that we try to help, because it's definitely victims of sexual and domestic violence are often find themselves in precarious situations when it comes to being pregnant and wanting to know all the options that they have.
A major issue Matsumoto sees is vague and confusing language that ties her hands from helping people in need. For example, the case says plaintiffs are unable to determine when an in-person meeting with a pregnant person becomes harboring, particularly if that in-person meeting occurs relatively near an Idaho border.
It's not clear. It's not exactly clear on what you can and can't do and can and can't say to a minor who comes to you and says, I'm trying to get out of an abusive situation, here's my situation. Can I even give that person all of their options?
I still think it's not legal.
House Minority Leader, Democrat Representative Alana Rubell, spoke out during the legislative session saying the law has several glaring issues. She is agreeing with the suit, saying that the abortion travel ban unreasonably burdens the right to enter and leave a state.
Just because the Supreme Court said you can ban abortion does not mean they get to throw the First Amendment out the window and the Fifth Amendment out the window and the 14th Amendment out the window. And this law is so vague. It says that you can't harbor, recruit, or transport a minor who's seeking an abortion. Well, I have no idea what recruiting or harboring means. Even the sponsor of the bill didn't know.
Rubell, Matsumoto, and other advocates highlight a collection of practical constitutional and legal issues they see with the law.
Now, they tried to be sneaky on this and say, oh, we're only banning travel inside the state of Idaho up to the border. But a lot of courts have seen around that and said, clearly, in order to have the constitutional right to interstate travel, it means you need to be able to travel inside the state to get to the border.
What if like a teenager took an Uber or a bus from Boise up to Ontario? Would the driver of that Uber or the driver of that bus even know what they had done?
Absolutely. That's 100% accurate, and this law doesn't provide for how to dissect whether or not that's the case. In fact, it doesn't really provide for anything except for one single affirmative defense.
I reached out to the Idaho Attorney General's office for comments on this, and of course they can't comment on pending litigation. They say they will be defending this in court. I also do reach out to the bill sponsor, Representative Barbara Ehart. Did not immediately get a response, but if we get one, we will mention that to you. Brian, though, it'll be interesting to see what happens here. And when talking with legal experts and legal people on this thing today, they told me that one of their concerns that this may be a slippery slope. So we know that abortion is illegal in Idaho, legal just over the border in Oregon. Okay, something else that qualifies in that, marijuana. Right. If you go to the southern border, to Nevada, prostitution is legal there. So there are questions now if this is a slippery slope of could Idaho pass laws that say it's a crime to drive to the border and get marijuana?
But this bill specifically deals with minors.
Correct.
Those other things are obviously illegal for minors anyway. So I don't know if it's a black and white issue there either.
It might not be a perfect, I guess, transfer issue there, but there's a lot of attention on this nationally, and we know that this law is being tested in Idaho. Depending on what happens in here, you could see it pop up in other places.
One thing is for certain, there are a lot of laws that this legislature has passed in recent years that are in court and still in court.
That's true.
Yep, all right. That's why they have that legislative defense fund. They do. Thank you.